With my apologies.
Hey guys, Apple here, and today we have a very special video with a very special guest. I'll let him explain.
Hey there, I'm Cinnabar. You may know me for making dumb and pointless videos on the internet, but today I'm going to at least attempt to be somewhat informative, because today we're talking about the Pyro and the Spy.
I thought this was a perfect topic for a video. Spy and Pyro kind of have a tough relationship. They kinda hate each other, even though Pyro kind of love hating him, since Pyro is a sadistic, evil, disgusting monster who enjoys the suffering of others. The Pyro is built to eliminate the Spy and dealing high amounts of damage to key targets. With the right team and situations, he can be a true killing machine, eliminating weaker classes in seconds thanks to flare crits. Since Spy is the class with the lowest health capacity, he becomes an easy target for the Pyro. If there's anything that Spies hate, it's a spy checking Pyro. A good Pyro could be a Spy's death sentence.
We'll try to slice the topic up in two. Firstly, we'll talk about the Spy and the Pyro in a pub environment, and then move on to competitive.
This is because the Spy and Pyro have completely different relations in pub and competitive. On competitive, he's most of the time strictly the support class, protecting the combo and engineer and his trusty buildings from projectiles. In pubs, he's one of the classes with the most freedom. But we'll get back to that later in the video. I think we should get started. First, let's talk about pub.
Playing Pyro on pub is very different from playing competitively. In pubs, Pyro is quite difficult to categorize. Despite being listed as an offensive class, he functions more like a support in many situations and only really becomes a true offensive class if the enemy team is bad. It completely depends on the situation. He kind of acts as a protector for the other classes, using his air blast to stop projectiles and spy checking around teammates. Similarly, Pyro can also act as a frontline attacker, killing enemies with his shotgun, a well-timed flare, or just out-and-out WM1. Since Spies are not usually much of a threat on pubs, at least in terms of game-changing plays, the latter strategy is usually the most common.
What Spy's best at is picking a few but valuable targets, though those don't exist as much in pub. Normally the Pyro is more useful elsewhere than checking for spies. What normally happens for me and nearly all spies on pub is that there are no spy checkers. This gives me a chance to completely destroy the enemy team's support. I think it's ridiculous how many pubs have been lost on red because of an engineer losing his buildings over and over again to a spy.
It's rare that a team will ever need a dedicated spy checking Pyro in a pub, but when they do, it's usually best to prioritize the engineer and the heavy medic combo, as they're usually responsible for pushing or defending a point.
Now that we have talked about the Pyro, it's the Spy's turn. On pub, the enemy team is like a huge buffet, though instead of eating food, you're backstabbing free to place. You are rarely caught in a bad situation with the Pyro. This gives you time to completely destroy the enemy defense. With no enemies really taking care of spies, it becomes too easy to take down defenses and backstab support classes. A spy getting around the Pyro is too easy, and he really doesn't have another class that counters him as well as the Pyro does.
Right now, it seems that many Pyros don't maximize their ability to decline the Spy's access to kills. The Pyro has become the favourite of frag-hungry children who only try to get reflect kills or flare crits, but it's capable of way more than that. Thanks to its high damage output and its ability to support the team by spy checking, extinguishing and air blasting projectiles away from your team, Pyro can be pivotal in Highlander.
I think that the frag Pyro mentality is why we got a nerf to the Pyro in the Tough Break update. The Pyro was made to be a damage dealing and spy countering class. Valve were not satisfied with the Pyro on pop, so they tried to nerf the Pyro to be more support oriented and make people play like they wanted Pyro to be played. If it was done well, that is a completely different discussion and probably not anything we should get into this video. I think the comment section is cancerous enough already.
Well, I think we should cover how to combat the spy in Pyro too. A Pyro will nearly always defeat a spy as it's his natural counter, but there are some ways for spies to avoid being killed by the Pyro when attempting to pick off members of the enemy team.
We spies do have a few tricks up our sleeves to counter the Pyro's deathly effectiveness. Firstly is that the range of the flamethrower is limited, but you want to know what isn't? A revolver. As a spy, the safest way of dealing with the Pyro is to back away from the Pyro. The flamethrower, shotgun and air blast are all either completely limited on longer ranges or have high decrease in damage output. Basically, just stay away from the Pyro and shoot with your revolver. It's easy to shoot him down from afar, though a big problem is if you can't establish that range. Here you may have to trick stab him.
The problem for spies is that due to Pyro's air blast, we can basically dictate the spy's movement. In that situation, it's best if you have a dead ringer ready and activate it when in a decent range from the Pyro.
It's a good idea to do this when he's air blasting you, since he is giving you a pretty good range to work with.
This will give you an opening to flee thanks to the fire resistance and speed from the dead ringer.
The dead ringer is certainly one of the best solutions if you're having problems fighting a Pyro, though you will have problems with the decloak sound. In a lot of situations, it will maybe make it harder to counter the Pyro, since what you want to do is not being seen. So basically, if you're having problems being spotted by the Pyro, the dead ringer is the best way of dealing with this problem.
As a Pyro, the best way of dealing with spies is to reduce his mobility. The spy needs to have free movement and spacing to effectively flee or kill you, so by air blasting him into a corner or baiting him to walk within your range, you will have a way easier time dealing with him. This will not only make sure that you deal enough damage to him, but keep him away from trick stabbing you as well. If he's using the dead ringer, make sure to air blast him the second he activates it to keep him cornered. If you don't succeed in that, keep tracking him with fire. Fire is still visible for a short time after igniting the spy, so if you keep igniting him, you'll be able to follow him and kill him.
I think that was the most important things to mention about pop.
We will now be talking about the spy and Pyro in a competitive scenario.
We won't be talking about sixes though. This is because of the fact that the spy and Pyro are rarely used in competitive and even more rarely stacked against each other. This is because the spy is normally used in an all or nothing playstyle where you try to pick the medic when no one expects a spy. So countering a spy with a Pyro in sixes is basically non-existent, since when the enemy team has realized that there is a spy, the player will normally change back to another class. The Pyro is also rarely used in sixes, since its only real use is quickly off-classing to air blast projectiles away from your teammates.
We will therefore be talking about Highlander. In competitive, the Pyro has the job of making sure that your enemy team is not on dead ice. He's normally in the combo together with the Demoman, Heavy and Medic, or helping the Engineer and flank classes. He can reduce damage taken by teammates by air blasting enemy projectiles, extinguishing flames and of course killing the spy. The spy is a big danger to the team if ignored, especially in competitive where the spy will use more indirect strategies to pick off players. And it's the Pyro's job to multitask and make sure the spy is dealt with and denied access to important targets, whilst making sure to reduce incoming damage from the enemy team to keep the nest alive for as long as possible.
Though a good Highlander spy will wait for the perfect moment to strike, he will make sure that the Pyro is busy with something else. If the spy is not waiting for the perfect time to strike, he will be seriously affecting the effectiveness of the spy. Remember that as a spy, it's all about getting important picks. If that requires you to wait longer, that's worth it. Killing an important target will save your team way more time than it takes to wait for the perfect moment to strike, and not waiting for the perfect moment will make your life completely useless. Especially if the Pyro isn't busy. Coordinate with your team and try to get the pick when your teammates are holding the combo busy. This would make them way less spy aware.
As a Pyro, it's important to use your time spy checking, though you have to be efficient. It's not usually a good idea to chase a spy halfway around the map and leave your team behind. That's why you normally let another class such as a scout pick out the spy. Your job is holding him away from the nest, but normally since the scout is faster, he is better at running at the fleeing spy and finishing him with a few shots from his scattergun. This makes it easier for you to focus on helping your team in other ways and maintaining the survivability of the team. In most circumstances, even igniting the spy is enough to make him flee. However, the spy may also try to sacrifice himself to pick out the class he sought to kill. In that situation, you should air blast him away. Do whatever you can to hold him away from your medic in particular, as your medic is your priority player.
It is important to flee as fast as possible if you're caught by the Pyro. A living spy is better than a dead one, and unless you have a high chance of getting a pick, fleeing is probably what is necessary. Especially if you're using the invisibility watches, aka the Cloak and Dagger and Invis Watch. Though don't get caught by the Pyro. Wait for the perfect time to strike and you will get rewarded for your patience with a nice kill and praises from your teammates.
However, it isn't always Pyro's job to check for spies. The whole team should be spy aware. You have many other jobs and you can't always do them perfectly. A good spy will be able to find openings. As long as you are doing your best to protect the team from players, you can't really be criticised. Sometimes it will be impossible for you to defend a situation on your own, and it's up to your team to pick up the slack and help you out. You have to distribute your attention to different things to maximise your effectiveness, and that means sacrificing in some areas.
Basically, a spy will try to pick the important roles like the medic, heavy, and engineer, and he has to wait for the perfect time to strike. If he doesn't, the Pyro and Scout would be able to remove him from the picture easily.
Though all teams have openings, as Pyro you will be able to make that opening as small as possible, but you do have limitations. A good spy will usually get past you a few times and have a chance to kill the medic, though if you can make that chance small enough, you can hold him away.
So that was the collab you guys have been waiting for. I want to thank Cinnabar for working on this video together with me. This is actually my first collab. Maybe I'll do more of these. We'll see. I'll wait and see how well this video does. So if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really supports these kind of videos. It takes like a long time to make these, so I really hope that you support them and you really appreciate the work that we did for this one.
If you're interested in more TF2, you can check out my shitty quote-unquote comedy videos on my channel.
Lainey has made sure to put the links to that, so just click on the annotation on the screen or the card at the top right corner.
And if they interest you, you can subscribe and make me some views. That would be cool. Thank you. Yes.
Anyway, see you next time.
Lenny, roll the outro.